So on this video, I want to talk about trauma. And when I say trauma, I don't mean, it doesn't have to mean like when you're little, like someone really close to you died, or like, you were abused in some way. That is very also traumatic. But when I say trauma, I just mean anything that could have happened in your life. A lot of times childhood, and most of everyone I think has some sort of childhood trauma. But I just mean anything that could have happened that has reshaped the way you think about life, the way you live life, in a sort of I don't want to say the word negative way. I'd rather say like a less joyful way, a more hard, more shameful, more guilty sort of way, more fearful kind of way. Any of those sort of rough feelings to be in, So I want to come on here and just sort of tell my story, I guess, of the childhood trauma that I experienced and how I'm growing from it, and what I've learned from it, and where I am now about it. So yeah, I guess let's just get into it. So I have a skin condition called eczema. A lot of people know about it. And a lot of people have like a little bit of eczema somewhere. Me, I had eczema everywhere. Like I don't know if you can kind of see like little cuts, but like it was like that little cut you just saw, much bigger cuts everywhere, all over my hands, my knees, my elbows. It was really gross. And I would be in class in like kindergarten, and it would be so itchy. Like I could not just while I'm in class, just throughout my everyday life, the eczema would just be so itchy. And the more I itched it, the worse I made it. So I would be in class and I would just be scratching the hell out of my skin, and like pieces of my skin would be falling on my desk. I would be literally bleeding. And the other kids in my class, there are other kindergarten or other kids in kindergarten, they're looking at this kid that's just like oozing out blood from his skin, and there's like skin flakes all over his desk. They're grossed out. They don't want to touch my desk. They don't want to come near me. So, me as that kid, I'm thinking there's something wrong with me. I'm like, man, like all these people are just like grossed out by me. And I'm smiling about it now looking back, but it's like back then, man, that really hurt. Like it made me not feel good enough. I felt like I was cursed in some way. Why did I have to have eczema? And how come no one likes me? I just felt like everyone didn't like me. And so growing up in school, what I did to kind of cope with not having everyone like me is I would misbehave, because when I would do things out of line with the school's order, I would make all the other kids laugh, and that would make me feel a little better, because now I feel like, oh, the kids are laughing, like people actually like me now. And it was a total coping mechanism. And what happened when I started misbehaving, now I'm getting in trouble a lot. And all of these teachers and principals, like when I was in first grade, I got sent to the principal's office 9 times. I counted, I'll never forget. I got sent to the office 9 times. In first grade, man. But it made me feel like a bad kid, because I'm the kid who just gets in trouble. All the teachers hate me. And then they would send emails to my mom and my dad, and then I would be like scolded. They weren't like super hard on me. Like I had a good like parental childhood, but anytime like a teacher gets an email from a parent, or a parent gets an email from a teacher, about their kid misbehaving, you know, the teachers or the parents gonna scold the kid. Like, that's just how it was. So, you know, I really started feeling like there's something wrong with me. No one at school likes me. The teachers hate me. I'm a bad kid. I seem to just not be able to behave. And another thing on top of this eczema is I have ADHD. Now, there's a lot, like, I can make a whole video about ADHD, but, you know, growing up in this school environment where I was not diagnosed with ADHD until late high school. So I'm over here not being able to focus. Like, I'm banana balls over here in class, like thinking, like looking at a bunch of stuff, like can't sit in my desk. The teachers would have to literally take my chair from me because I couldn't sit still, and I would be a big distraction to everyone else in the class. And I couldn't focus. And what happened is the teachers and my parents and stuff would tell me that the problem is that I need to learn how to focus. Instead of anyone, and I don't blame anyone for this, because everyone is just doing the best they can with the situation they're at in life. So this isn't supposed to like be anything bad to them. This is just the situation, you know? But like, instead of anyone looking at this kid and being like, hey, like, why are you misbehaving so much? And why can't you sit still in your chair and all these things? And like, what's going on, Travis? Like, talk to me. Like, let's talk about this. What's happening? Instead of anyone really doing that, I just got told I was misbehaving. Oh, this kid's acting out of line. Let's punish him so he can act in line. And man, that is so traumatic. And I know that happens to a lot of other people out there. And that's a big reason why, that's like why I'm making this video and why I want to have this YouTube channel. Because like, I know there are other people dealing with this stuff. And I don't know, maybe sharing this can help, maybe not, but you know. So yeah, like, another thing that happened to me in my childhood, not to go into depth with like way too many like things here, but I think it is a substantial thing to add on to this thing, is that I grew up in like very close to all of my cousins. There's 9 cousins, and we all lived like within like 5 minutes from each other pretty much, and we all got to see each other so often. It was great. Don't get me wrong at all. Like my cousins are like the people I love like the most in the world. So, but I was the youngest cousin, and the age gap from me to the oldest is about like 13 years. So, you know, being the youngest cousin growing up, you get teased, you know, like something happens, makes you cry, and then everyone thinks it's funny that you cry and stuff like that. And I really looked up to my cousins growing up, you know, and like, not that like, don't get me wrong, because they were not bullying me or anything like that, but you know, you get teased. And like, as a kid, I didn't understand like what teasing really meant. You know, they weren't being facetious, but like, I didn't get that. And I just made it feel like I'm the youngest and everyone thinks it's funny to laugh at me. Like they would say stuff like, you know, what do cows drink, Travis? And then I'd say milk, and then they laugh at me, you know? And like, looking at it now, it's like a funny thing, but back then, like, I'm a little kid and I don't understand what's actually happening. Like, I think these people are like hurting me. So with the being the youngest cousin and feeling like they're hurting me, with being at school and feel like nobody likes me, and with all the teachers making me feel like I'm a bad kid, my self-esteem was really hurt. So as I started to grow up in school, I started developing coping mechanism, because I genuinely felt like, from my environment, was telling me that I am not good enough. And if I want people to like me, Or let me put it like this, right? What I was told from my childhood is that if people don't approve of you and people don't like you, that means that you are not good enough. That's how I felt. I felt like you needed to gain approval from people to feel better, because I wasn't getting that kind of approval. Everyone was telling me that I'm not good enough. So as a kid, you don't understand that, and then I take it as myself, like, oh, I must really not be good enough. And I didn't understand that what people think of you has nothing to do with you being good enough. Like, good enough doesn't even exist. Like, what is good? Good is a label that we put on things. It doesn't mean anything. Everything's good. Everything is good enough. The whole universe, just for existing, is perfect. It's good. There's no, this was like something this philosopher that I love, Alan Watts, would talk about, is like, there are no trees that are bad. There are no clouds that are bad. There are no flowers that are bad. There are no planets that are bad. All the stars are perfect. All the cows are perfect. All the water's perfect. So are you. Nothing is a mistake in the entire universe. Everything is just perfect for existing. You don't look at, he said, like, you don't look at a cloud and be like, oh, that's a poorly shaped cloud. Like, no. So every human is perfectly shaped. You don't like the shape of your body, you don't like the facial features. Your face is perfect, exactly the way it is. Just like all the clouds are perfect. Everything is just perfect. But anyways, you don't understand this when you're a little kid growing up. You think everyone, you think people don't think you're perfect, that means you're not perfect. Because you just kind of believe what people tell you, you know? When you're a kid, you're always gullible. Whatever someone tells you, you're like, you just believe as the truth. Because you're fresh, you don't know what's going on in this world. And then when someone tells you, like, oh, like, the sky's blue because, like, Papa Smurf farted. You know what I mean? Like, a little kid might believe that, you know? So, you know, if everyone's telling me I'm not perfect, I'm not good enough, you're a bad kid, you don't behave, you're gross, you have eczema, I start to think that I'm not good enough. So, as I started growing up, I started developing these coping mechanisms. Okay? So one of them was trying to become popular / trying to make girls like me. So this is basically the simplest form of, like, people don't like me, I need to make them like me. So what would I do? I would try to make the class laugh by misbehaving, or like I would just try to tell people funny jokes, you know, and make people like me like that. And here's one thing I did that I always have regretted, is that I had my little friend group that actually, I found people that actually did kind of like me as I grew up. You know, they didn't really judge me for my eczema, they just liked me. And around 5th grade, I noticed that group wasn't the cool kids. The cool kids were not in my friend group, they were sitting somewhere else in lunch. And I decided that I was just gonna try to sit with the cool kids because I didn't feel good enough. I felt like I needed the cool kids to like me to actually feel good. I couldn't just be with my normal friend group to just like and like be okay. Like, I needed to be with them because they were the cool kids and I needed their approval to make me feel better. So I kind of ditched my friend group, and it sucks. Like, those were the people that actually liked me, that I actually liked talking with, you know? I went to the cool kid table, and I basically spent the rest of my time in middle school kind of like, not like the star popular kid, but like one of those people, like, sort of right there with it, sort of on the cusp, the outside of the status hierarchy that no one talks about that exists. But basically just trying to, like, really just be part of it, and make the popular pretty girls like me. That was That was it in middle school. And then, so this is like, let's just take a pause here, because I mean, man, like I'm really talking a lot of trauma here is building up. We just got past, you know, my middle school phase. My main coping thing was going to other people to try to be popular, because then I can feel better about myself when I'm popular. Then you get to high school, and basically my whole freshman year was that on repeat. Trying to make new friends. Who's the cool kids here? How can I make them like me? You know? And eventually we get to sophomore year, and here is where I get introduced to a little thing called marijuana. And at first, to be completely honest, I think it helped me, at first, it helped me not care about being popular as much. However, because popular was now no longer my crutch in life, weed became my crutch. I needed weed to be happy. So, from the second half of my sophomore year, literally all the way up until the end of my senior year of high school, I was basically high. Like, I would go through phases of being high, like, all the time, 24/7, and then I would get caught by my mom or something, and then I would stop for a phase in time, then eventually, like, start back again, and I would just kind of flip like that throughout high school. And, that was my crutch. And the funny thing is, eventually, I started caring about being popular again. Like, the not caring about popularity didn't even last for that long. So, throughout my life, you can start to see now, right? We're in senior year of high school, and this is something that started back in kindergarten, back when kids didn't think I was good enough, and when teachers told me I'm a bad kid, and when I felt like I was being teased by my older cousins. Like, I immediately started feeling like I needed something to be happy. I feel like I need something to be whole. I didn't understand that you don't. And I want to make more videos about, like, feeling whole and stuff. Oh, there's so much I want to talk about with that stuff. But, like, as I grew up, I went to different things to make me feel whole. Whether it was misbehaving, making people like me that way, or smoking weed and feeling better that way, or, like, trying to be with the popular kids and feeling better about myself that way. There was always something that I'm going to, you know? Even in soccer, like, trying to be, like, a good player so that everyone thinks I'm a good soccer player. And then I can feel good about myself, you know? Try to impress the coaches, trying to impress the other kids on the team, like, so, yeah. Then you get to college. So, yeah, going to college, I really started getting a chance to sit with my own brain and, like, just kind of, like, journal and reflect on all of this, and have a chance to not be going to all these things to be happy. And, man, there's so much I want to talk about, but I kind of want to try to wrap this video up here. So that was my trauma growing up, and now it's like realizing these things. And I guess a big realization, big thing that's helped me sort of work with and through this trauma is seeing that you only feel like you're not good enough because you think that other things hold your happiness, and that you need those things to make you feel whole. You think that being the most popular person, or just having people like you in day-to-day conversation, is gonna make you feel better. You think that having more money is gonna make you feel better. You think that having an amazing sex life is gonna make you feel better. And, like, It's realizing that those things are only the key to your happiness if you make it the key to your happiness. If you think that it is the key to your happiness. There's been a lot of like Taoist and Buddhist and philosophy sort of learning that I've done to, I don't even say learning like as if I like know the answers, but like ideas that have helped me, I guess. And one of the biggest ones that have really helped me with this is the idea that if you are trying to fix yourself, you are implying that you are broken. It's like if you're cleaning the floor must be dirty, you know? So if you're trying to fix yourself, you're actually reinstating to yourself. You're telling yourself, I am broken. You cannot fix that which is not broken. So if you're fixing something, it's broken. You're trying to fix yourself. You're telling yourself you are broken. So the key is to stop fixing yourself. Accept yourself for who you are. You're okay. You're okay as you are. When you try to fix yourself, now let me say something, right? Going to popularity, going to weed, going to TV, going to scrolling through social media, going to junk food, like these are ways of trying to fix ourselves in a way. Because it's trying to fix our happiness. I'm not happy enough right now, so I need to fix it by filling myself up with these other things that are going to make me happy. That's a way of fixing yourself. Another way of trying to fix yourself is looking at yourself and being like, man, I'm not good enough. I need to be better. How can I be better? Let me go to the gym and get big muscles. Then I'll be good enough. But all these things, not that it's bad to go to the gym. Like, doing the gym is one of the nicest, most loving things you can do for your body. The same way that it's loving to a plant when you water a plant. It's loving to your body to go to the gym. But if you're going to the gym because you feel like you're not good enough and you need to be jacked to be good, or you need to not be fat to be good enough, like, that's just not true. Good enough is something that you decide. Good is a label. Everything in the whole universe has no meaning. It is not good, it is not bad, it is just the universe. It's beautiful if you want to think it's beautiful. I think it is. But the idea of calling it good or bad is just something that you're deciding to call it. That's it. Really. You're not a child anymore, so you're not gullible, where you're not just gonna believe anything everyone tells you about yourself anymore. So now you're at a point where you can actually reflect on this and realize, man, like, what happened to me doesn't define who I am as a person. Like, I don't have to define who I am as a person. I'm just okay. Like, there's nothing wrong. And the more you try to fix yourself, the more you're telling yourself that you're not okay. So just accept. It's learning to accept and love, and just love what this is, what's going on in your body. Like, can you believe that you exist? Like, look at what has happened. Like, your body is here. Like, is that not beautiful? Like, that is amazing, you know? So, yeah, there's so much more I want to talk about, but I want to wrap this video up here. Yeah, I hope showing my trauma to the world here has, at least if you're watching this, has maybe helped you in some way, or at least make you feel like you're not alone, you know? We're all dealing with stuff. Yeah, and I hope with these videos I can just share my growing experience with the world. That's what I want to do. And if I don't become successful with it, that's okay, because I actually like making these videos. So worst case scenario, I'm doing something that I like doing. So yeah, I don't really know how to close it. Maybe one day I'll have some kind of like closing saying. I don't know. But for now, I'm just gonna say goodbye. And one thing I want to add too is like, okay, when you look at your trauma and you realize like what happened to you, then at least what my natural instinct was like, okay, now what do I do? I figured all this stuff out. I figured out what happened. Now what? Now what do I do? But think about what that is. When you're saying, okay, now what do I do? Why do you want to know what you should do? Because you feel like you need to do something to be happy, to feel whole. That's the very thing that you realize you don't have to do anymore. You don't have to do anything to be happy. So once you've realized it, that's all you have to do. You'll probably have some feelings come up, so feel them. There's some thoughts. Notice those thoughts, But like, at least this is what I'm thinking is helping me for right now, is like, you don't have to do anything about it. You experienced the trauma. Meditation, qigong, yoga, going for walks in nature, taking the time to like be with yourself and connect with your body. That's great. That's always good. That's like watering the plants of your body. But there's not like I don't think that there's like some sort of mental like thing you need to now do. Like, you're just good now. Like, you just are. And it's just realizing that. And I think when you get in touch with your core and with your body and everything, at least for me, that's how this process has been. Like, the more I got in touch with my body, like, there's nothing I can do to stop like these, like, a shameful feeling that may have stemmed from trauma. Like, if I have that shameful feeling, then just feel it and notice it. Notice why it's there in the first place, and then let your body and I've been letting my body, take care of the rest. I think that's a kind of a good way to think about it, because otherwise it's like, all right, now I feel like I need to do all these things. But no, that's the thing keeping you in that state. It's the doing something about it that's causing this issue. and realizing that in trauma, like when you were a child, you learned this technique called doing stuff about it. And now what we're realizing is we don't have to do anything about it. That's the problem. That's the problem. So when you're a kid, you're told you're a bad kid, and then you believe it because you're a kid and you're just taking in the world and you believe anything. So then you think, yeah, I am a bad kid. So then right there you learn the process called fixing, called doing things about it to make yourself better. But you don't have to do that. That's what we're realizing now, that's just something you learned. That's just something you learned from childhood. You don't have to keep doing it. Like, once you've learned that's what you learned, there's nothing else to do. Just exhale. Get in touch with yourself. But getting in touch with yourself isn't like a thing you need to do to be better. It's just living. Being in touch with yourself is what I think is actually just what happens when you're no longer going to external things to make yourself happy. You're no longer, filling your brain up with dopamine, going to like TV and scrolling through Instagram and junk food and drugs and using all these things to make yourself feel better. It's like you've taken that layer of like masking. You've taken that mask off of your core and off of your emotions, and now you're present with it. There's nowhere else to be but present with it, unless you want to like mentally distract yourself. But yeah, I think you just naturally get there. You're naturally in touch. But yeah, anyways,